Okay, welcome back, guys. I'm gonna unmute. I mean, I think everyone can unmute themselves if they want to. Um, Password isn't working. Anyone else have trouble with the password?
No, I think it just needs a second. It needed a second for you to close the other. But it's not the old password. It's a different password. If anyone's been putting the first year password. This one is I think it was made by Zoom. You didn't change it. Starts with a 7.
Oh,
Or a 6. No, it
like,
starts with a 6. It's not West Side Wednesday. It's
yeah.
6ANZQ4.
Trying to, ramp us up a little bit with exclusive passwords, but Aryeh, okay, hopefully Aryeh will be on. Oh, he's on. Okay, great. Okay, Aryeh, it worked. Awesome. We're at 11. You know what? I think this is what we were. I think we were 11. So
okay.
I'm gonna mute. Everyone's pretty much muted. I guess everyone's muted, so you're good.
According to the Talmud Yerushalmi, right? So we're all familiar that there are two Talmuds. There's the Talmud Bavli and the Talmud Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud. The reason why we have the 4 cups of wine is because of the 4 Lashonot Shavu'ula that we discussed previously. V'yitzesi, v'yitzalti, v'ga'alti, v'lakachti. So how then could Reb Tarfon suggest that there's a 5th cup? So if we look at the psukim, and this is, I think, what Jake was referencing earlier, if we look at the psukim that discuss the Arba Lashonot Shavu'ula, we see that there's actually a fifth language of redemption. So the psukim are in Shmot Perek Vav, and it starts off in Pasuk Vav. L'chein Emor Livnei Yisrael Anei Hashem. So God tells Moshe to tell the Bnei Yisrael that I am God. V'hotzesi eschem mitachas lavos Mitzrayim. I'm going to take you out. V'yitzalti eschem, I'll free you ma'avodasam. V'ga'alti eschem, I'll redeem you. So those are 3. V'hotzesi, v'yitzalti, v'ga'alti. And then the next pasuk, v'lakachti. Those are the 4 different lashon shagu'ula. And as Jake noted, if you look into the next pasuk, we see actually a fifth language of redemption. Vehevesi eschem, and I will bring you el haaretz asher nasasi es yadi, lasis isa lavrom liyitzchak liyakov, to the land that I swore to your forefathers I will give you. V'nasati oso lachem rosha ani Hashem. I'm going to give it to you as a inheritance. So that's actually the 5th lashon, the 5th language of Geula, vehevesi, and that refers to the 5th cup. Okay, so we have now 5 cups and 5 languages of redemption. Okay, there's further another missing 5th. What am I referring to? So we said that one of the sets of 4 is the 4 verses in Dvarim that we expound upon in the Haggadah. So I said that there was 4 verses, and they run from verse 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's the Arami Ovid Abi, the Yareo Sanu Vanitzak Vayotzienu. But if you actually continue, you realize that the verses don't end at the end of the 8th pasuk, because the 9th pasuk is also part of the language that the person that brings the Bikurim says. He hasn't finished. It doesn't end at the end of pasuk 8. Rather, it continues in pasuk 9. Vayevienu ala makom hazeh. So the farmer's still reading, and he says that God brought me to this place, meaning he's referring to Jerusalem, where the Bet HaMikdash is, where he's standing. Vayitam lanu es haaretz hazos eretz zavas chalav v'dvash, and he gave us this land flowing with milk and honey. And that's the end of that's the end of this portion of the Bikurim that he's bringing. So you see, there's actually a 5th pasuk. Now the question, of course, arises: well, if there's a 5th pasuk, why does the Haggadah only darshan? Why is the Haggadah only studying 4 of the psukim? But we'll put that aside for the moment, and now we have a couple of sets of 5, right? So instead of sets of 4, we have sets of 5. we have 5 cups of wine, 5 expressions of redemption, and 5 psukim that are part of the story of Bikurim that make up the Haggadah. So Rabbi Sachs posits why it is that these fifths, these various fifths, are not discussed in the Haggadah. Why is it that the 5 psukim aren't discussed? Why is it that the 5th lashon of Geula is not discussed? And the answer he gives, and why is it that we don't drink a 5th cup? The answer he gives is that all these fifths are discussing the future. It's discussing our striving to get to the land of Israel, right? Vayavienu ela makom hazeh. It's referring not just the Exodus, not just leaving the Galut, but coming to the land of Israel. Now, the Haggadah that we have presently, right? There was a Haggadah that was written during the times of the Mikdash. And in fact, the Mishnah, which was written half before the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed and half afterwards, the Mishnah, when it talks about the Haggadah, it's referring to the Haggadah that was actually used during the times of the Bet HaMikdash. The Haggadah that we use nowadays is not that same Haggadah. And today's Haggadah, we do not discuss the bringing to Israel. We don't talk about Vavienu ala makom hazeh. We don't speak about the 5th lashon of Geula, and we don't drink the 5th cup. And so Rabbi Sachs' point here is that we don't talk about these things because we're not there yet. We're not in Israel. Well, of course, the question arises that, well, we do sort of have a quasi-redemption according to some opinions, right? Eschalta de Geula. We are currently living in the land of Israel. We control some portion of Israel. We're no longer dispersed as much as we were. And indeed, Rabbi Menachem Kasher, who is a rabbi who was a leader, I believe, in the Mizrahi movement, somebody who was a modern-day religious Zionist, said that because we are now in the state of Israel, the 5th cup should in fact be reinstated, and we should drink the 5th cup, because the 5th cup talks about the Geula. It talks about, the 5th lashon of Geula, and it talks about this pasuk of Avienu ala makom hazeh to Yerushalayim. So we should be drinking the 5th cup. That was Reb Menachem Kasher's opinion. It is a minority opinion. I don't know anybody that agrees with it, but it is an opinion based on this learning. Okay, so now we have 2 more things to explain, right? We still have the 4 questions, and we have the 4 sons. Not 5 questions and 5 sons, but 4 questions and 4 sons. So how do we explain that? Why are there 4 questions? And where's the 5th question that's supposed to talk about the Geula? So this is very interesting, because if you look at the Mishnah that talks about, and I'm going to pull it up, that talks about the 4 questions, right? Where does the Manashtana come from? Does anybody know where the Manashtana comes from? So I kind of just answered it. The Manashtana comes from the Mishnah. It's as old as the Mishnah, almost 2,000 years, or at least 1,500 years old, depending on who you ask. So the Mishnah in Psachim, and I'll bring it up. And if anybody uses Faria or hasn't used Faria, they should, because it's a tremendous resource. Okay. Why am I not finding it? Just a second. Oh, okay, I passed it. All right, it's in the 4th Mishnah. And it says, Mazgulo Kosheni, it's going through the Haggadah, and it says, they pour him, the leader of the Seder, the second kos, the Kana ben Shol Aviv, and here is where the son asks his father, Vim ein das baben, if the son is not knowledgeable enough to be able to ask the questions, Avin Milamdo, the father has to teach him. So far, that's what we're used to. That all other nights we eat meat that is roasted, cooked, boiled or cooked. but tonight we only eat roasted meat. What is he referring? What is the Mishnah referring to? It's referring to the Korban Pesach that had to be roasted. It couldn't be cooked, and it couldn't be boiled. So that's the third question. Now the fourth question is what we have nowadays. So what you see here is the Mishnah has a different third question than we have. Instead of what we do nowadays is we ask about the reclining, the Mishnah then asked about the Korban Pesach. And so Rabbi Sachs says that we don't actually have 4 questions. We have 5 questions. This is the 5th question. The 5th question is about the Korban Pesach. We don't say it nowadays because we don't have the Geula. We're not in Yerushalayim. We're not under the auspices of Mashiach. And because of that, we don't ask this 5th question. But indeed, there is a 5th question that pertains to the Geula. So all we have left now is the 5th son. And the question is, what about the 5th son? So everybody, or many of us, are familiar with the famous Vart from the Lubavitch Rebbe, who says that indeed there is a 5th son. And who's the 5th son? The 5th son is the son that doesn't come to the Seder at all. Right? The 5th son that doesn't know about Pesach, doesn't realize that there's a Pesach to come. Why? Well, because, and we know this is representative of what happened in Golus Mitzrayim. There's a famous medrash that in Mitzrayim, 1/5 of the Jews did not, only 1/5 of the Jews left Egypt. 4/5 of the Jews died in Egypt. Why did they die? Because they didn't want to leave Egypt. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay in Egypt. That's where they were comfortable. That's what they were familiar with. And they decided that they didn't want to leave. And the verse, the basis for this medrash is that it says, Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael min Mitzrayim, right? That the b'nei Yisrael left Chamushim, which means armed. They left Egypt armed with the gold and silver that they took from the Egyptians, with the weapons of war that they took from the Egyptians during the Makas Choshech. But the drasha is that Chamushim can also be read to mean Chamesh, right? 5th. Then only 1/5 of the Bnei Yisrael, Chamushim, 1/5 of Bnei Yisrael exited Egypt. The other 4/5 stayed. So similar to that, the 5th son represents those Jews that aren't familiar with Pesach, and they don't know, either through intermarriage or through leaving the community. And so that's what the Lubavitch Rebbe says, that there's a 5th son that you are responsible for bringing to the Seder. So to sum it up, we have, instead of 4 groups of 4 that we started off with, we actually have 5 groups of 5. We have the 5 sons, the 5 questions, the 5 Lashonos of Geula, the 5 psukim that are darshaned, or should be darshaned, and the 5 questions, the last question of the Manishtana. All of those 5 relate to the future, relate to our striving towards the Beit HaMikdash, right? We strive to bring back all the sons, all 5 sons, including those that have left, and we strive to have the 5th Lashon of Geula, the deliverance. So what do we take out from this Dvar Torah? How does it apply to our life nowadays? The answer is that Jews, as Jews, we're always supposed to be striving. And that's supposed to be our goal. We're always supposed to be trying to be better than we currently are. And it's part of our tradition, part of our heritage, part of who we are. We're never just satisfied. We're never comfortable just sitting back, because we recognize that there's nothing to living unless you're growing. So what we should do during this time, during our quarantine at home, when it's easy to sort of fall back and the world is on hold effectively, right? For all intents and purposes, we can say, listen, nobody else is doing stuff. Nobody else is changing anything. It's just the world has just kind of gone dark, and we're skipping, right? Passing over from February to May, hopefully. And we can just forget about these 3 months. But as Jews, and this is our connection to the Haggadah, we're always supposed to be striving. And that's why we don't drink the cup, right? That's why we don't drink the cup right now, because drinking the cup would suggest that we're done, we're finished, we're there. But the idea of behind having the cup and not drinking it is seeing the future, seeing the potential, and hopefully one day we'll get there. So I give you all a blessing. You should all stay healthy. and you should all be striving towards, introducing one better thing into your day, something that you can come out of this quarantine period with that you feel like you've accomplished.
Thank you. Okay. I see Paul again.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Aryeh.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Mir Hashem next year in Eretz Yisrael, all of us, with Mashiach.
Amen.
I mean, we'll work on this year for next week, and it'll be posted again to the West Side
Aryeh, shkoyach. Wow. Is this from the Bratsky?
Yeah, exactly.
Or from
Could be the mirror, could be Shara
Torah.
Aaron and I we basically had the same exact trajectory in our we went to the same yeshivas. We were actually roommates for a while.
Yeah, Aryeh was always ahead of me.
Yeah, in age.
in every aspect.
Where are you, Garcelle? You're in Brooklyn? Where are you? Or in Canada?
I'm in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, okay.
Yeah.
Can we hear a Ka'ela?
Stay safe. Stay safe. I know a lot of people in Brooklyn that got sick.
I was sick.
You were sick?
Good claim. I'm happy you're feeling better.
Thank you. Everybody in Brooklyn was sick. Thank you. I'm
a lot of family in Brooklyn that was sick. Thankfully,
yeah, not everybody, but a very high percentage of people here were sick.
It was actually my first time at a Purim Suda in Brooklyn, and it was crazy, like how much everyone goes to each other's houses, like everyone's in the street. So I can just like imagine that probably like exacerbated even more because that was like right before it really started hitting.
Yeah, I think I caught it on Purim because I got sick like Thursday, which is like two days after Purim.
Yeah.
So a lot of my family, same thing, caught it on Purim. I was at that same, like one of my sister had it, and we had a Purim meal at her home, and thankfully I didn't, but several members of my family did. From my sister who didn't know she had it until afterwards.
Right. Well, also a third of people were asymptomatic, so you may have had it.
Yeah, most likely everyone had it. It's just a question of your immune system and whether you showed it or not. Assuming.
Yeah, but no, I've been walking around Brooklyn singing, so.
You share the videos.
Why? What are you doing?
I've seen the videos.
As long as you're winning and singing at the same time in the middle of the street, then it's okay.
I don't know what Ka'ela is. I keep hearing about this, and I don't know what it is. What is it?
Difficult to explain.
What?
Ka'ela is a lifestyle. Ka'ela is a lifestyle.
Ka'ela.
No, but the expression Ka'ela is like, oh, if only I could live like that, or like if only it could be like that. No.
No, that's probably Halavai.
No,
why is it a Pesach thing? What is it? Is it something that you say on Chol HaMoed?
So it's part of the laning. It's part of the Kriyas HaTorah.
Okay.
There's a pasuk that says Milvad Olas HaTamid Asher Olas HaBoker Tasu Es Eila, and based on the melody of the trup, it kind of lends itself for the crowd participation. So the whole crowd ends up chiming in for that word, and people for some reason find that funny.
I have never been. I would love to see that because that's the same pasuk in Rosh Chodesh. Tasu ta'olah.
No. It's not in Rosh Chodesh. It is actually right next to the laning of Rosh Chodesh in Parshas Pinchas. But
can you just do it
right now?
Yeah, just say the pasuk.
Do it.
Right. I'm actually, my voice is recovering, but we'll do a more toned down version. Milevad elas haboker asher elas hatamid ta'asu es eile ko'eile.
Yeah, that definitely sounded like someone sick for sure.
Actually, because I walked around.
If only I could have that voice when I'm sick, because I don't have that voice when I'm healthy.
I sang for
Yeah,
5
sure,
hours
so-
each night of the Seder, so thank you. My voice is pretty much gone. Hopefully you'll be back tomorrow so I can walk around singing again.
Hey, I did Manish Tanakh for the first time in 35 years. And I stood on the chair and everything.
Alone?
No, not alone. I was with two other people, and I was the youngest. So I stood on the chair and I did the whole thing. I didn't stay on the chair too long. I thought I might fall, but still.
Wow.
Leora, were you guys home, the two of you?
Yes. I got on the chair for the Seder. Hi, everyone. Leora.
Leora.
Neiman.
People get on the chair?
I did my own Seder, first year marriage on our own, and it was amazing. I was really scared it'd be boring, but I'm actually really happy we had the shir last week because I got to teach him everything I learned. So now for the second phase, I'm going to teach him everything Aryeh taught us today. So I'm very excited.
Oh.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win. I was writing notes. But yeah.
I sent that email. You got his email address? I posted it.
Yeah, so last week, I don't know who was here with us. We had a really great speaker, and he has this book, but unfortunately, they only have the all Hebrew edition, which my Hebrew is not good enough to try to conquer an entire commentary book in Hebrew. But he said that they might reprint it in English again. So I'm hopeful we can. I think it's called 80 Days.
They're out of
Apparently.
Okay. Thank you, Lyra, Tamar, and Aryeh. I have another shir to go to now.
Ooh.
Okay.
And I'm going to Modi Live right now.
Enjoy.
Sure, are you going
Hear the
to?
jokes.
I'm going to go to the OZ shir. Actually, there's a yurtzeit shir. Just kidding. I have two conflicting ones. A yurtzeit shir. Alan Dorfman's mom or something is dead.
All right.
I'm at the shir.
Thank you, Aryeh.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye,
See you
guys.
all.
Bye.
Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your Pesach.
You
You too.
too.
You too.